Alrighty, it's time for Epic Sketch Time. My name is Pat McEwen. I'm hosting tonight. I'm joined here by Mark Monlux. I'll let him introduce himself and what he does in a second. I do a comic called The Devil and Mr. Gandhi, and you can find that at devilandgandhi.com. Mark, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing just great. I got back from a big project in Seattle. I got to send off an invoice for it tomorrow, so I'm happy as a clam. I do a couple of different web comics. Both are currently offline. One is called The Comic Critic, and the other one is called The Return of Stickman. But if you look online for The Comic Critic, you might be able to buy my book on Amazon.
Very nice. This is like a epically long website outage for you.
It is. It's been almost 2 months.
Jeez.
And it's been a very low priority to get to it because last 2 months I have just been busy with work and just getting to try to do the website. I mean, I've been trying to get a Kickstarter kind of launched, and now I'm to the point where, okay, I gotta face facts that I can't get the Kickstarter launched until I get my website up, because it's kind of bad when people can't hunt you down and see what you're all about on your website.
Yep. You need that visibility.
And then for a while there, I was stuck because I was switching between 2 different ISPs and they weren't communicating well. And but anyway, I finally got my mailing list off one of the websites, and I'm just going to drop them like a hot rock. This all started when they switched over servers on me with only 24 hours notice. And the next thing I knew, my website wasn't functioning.
Jeez.
So, I mean, I could access my pages, but the URL weren't working. And I couldn't get the URLs because my URLs were located on a different ISP because I was planning on moving over there. But that ISP guy and the other ISP guy, they weren't calling each other, and I was having to rely on trying to figure out both scenarios, and I couldn't get on in either place. And I didn't have time to deal with it. So, with any luck, I'll be able to start tackling that tomorrow, which is what I said last week. But I came home to find a message from one of my clients who he hands me a lot of storyboard projects, and they're always the last minute. But he pays rush fees, and a day's worth of work from him is just a phenomenal amount because it's always the last minute. I gotta have it now. I gotta have it now, and he never thinks ahead. God bless him. And it's often not him. Often his boss says, "Oh, we need this." And he's been handing me a lot of design work. I don't like doing design work, but I will do it for him because, oh my God, I must have done like 60 invoices for him this year. So,
Nice.
yeah, I mean, some of them aren't very big invoices because I'll just charge him for like 1 hour of work at a time. But through him, my Photoshop skills have improved drastically. I can do things to a photograph that I couldn't do a year ago.
Nice.
Like, have you ever used the liquefy tool to let a guy lose like 40 pounds?
Can't say that I have.
Well, you know how the gut kind of sinks down like this over the belt?
Mm-hmm.
Just use the liquefy tool, grab that gut, and just lift it back up and make it even across, and he's lost 20 pounds. And he sent me this one guy who was just round, and I didn't make him look like he had a six-pack, but he definitely lost a lot of weight that day. So
Nice.
I am trying to decide what I'm going to work on. Let's see. I think I'll clean up an alien image that I did last year. Just have to figure out where I hid them. I'm kind of curious, Pat, when you do your folders, do you break them down like by year or by project or by client? How do you organize your tabletop?
I am the most disorganized person you will ever meet. In most areas in life, as well as my graphics files. I literally, it annoys me, but I can never bring myself to like fully redo my kind of structure. So I'm all over the place. Like typically I'll have like larger projects. So Devil and Gandhi has its own folder, obviously, but then the subfolders are just crazy because if I think about it, I'll do a subfolder, then I'll have, you know, my Clip Studio files, and then I'll have like exported TIFF files and things like that. And if I think about it, I'll do them correctly, but most of the time I'm hunting and pecking and searching for files because I'm very poorly organized.
I keep everything archived by year, and then so I got my own folders by year, and then inside that by month or by project. And that's how I keep track of my clients too. It's by year, main project, then the project folder for that particular month of that year, and then inside that, the client's individual folders, and then inside that, the individual projects for those individual clients. And naming things is key, trying to. I have one client that just sends me randomly named files, and I'm always changing them because I need to be able to find stuff later on. One of the things that I do, and this is a nice little bookkeeping thing, is when I write an invoice, I write down the name of the folder. I also write down the file name, what fonts I used, and what color palettes I used, so that I can, if I have to pull up that particular project again, I can go back through my invoices and at least have an idea of where it's stored on a CD, because I take everything off every couple of years and I back them up on CDs.
That is extremely well organized.
That's my type A personality at work.
Hmm.
But meanwhile, my type A personality, as you can see behind me, my office is a complete and utter sty.
What did they say? Messy work area, organized mind, something like that.
Oh, they just want to make you feel good.
Well, I like to believe in that, though.
So this particular alien is It, the Terror Beyond Space. I think this movie is from the 1950s. Nice old-fashioned B flick. My friend Joe Manfredini, who's an architectural photographer, taught me this trick on cleaning up black and white files. Actually, he does this with photographs. And you enlarge everything to 100%. Of course, even if you got a nice high resolution, even at 100%, you won't be able to see everything on the screen. But what you can do is you can clean up all the gunk. So by hitting the space bar, it just moves over into one quadrant at a time. That way you can get rid of the little spots. And then you go down a quadrant and you systematically do this rather than moving around randomly on the page.
Sure. It's almost like an archaeology dig.
Right. And it's the only way to really do things fast. and then you can come back and do the cleanup. But first, the whole point is to kind of just clean up the schmutz, those little individual. And what I'll do is I'll go into it at 300% because there are going to be details like around this eye. You can see there's some weird little spacings I don't want to have show up. But the first thing I do is I do it at 100. I probably shouldn't be spending all this time doing this, but I mean these are going to be really small cards. But the next thing you know, I'm turning around and I'm thinking about doing a bunch of these as big prints. So
Nice.
I started them as a 600 DPI.
Yeah, while I have you here, did you receive the comic I sent you?
I did. As a matter of fact, I've been showing them off to everybody. When I was at their freelance Fandango meeting, I showed it off. Now I'm trying to find what happened to it. It's floating around my office somewhere. But thank you for that. That all three signatures of your guys. I was.
Triple signed. Triple signed.
How many of those have been triple signed? I'm kind of
less than a dozen, I would say.
really. I thought people would be all over the triple signing.
Well, here's the thing: the two people are getting placed online orders for the triple sign, but then the rest was entirely on people that showed up to the comic show I was at, and so it had to be someone who was interested in it and then shelled out the money for it, and but it was very fun. That was definitely a selling point. We could say that while you're standing here, get it signed by all three creators.
Signatures are something that I really look forward to. I'll pay an extra $5 to get a signature on a Kickstarter thing. I could care less about, bookmarks or stickers. I don't need bookmarks. I don't need stickers. What I love, though, is a nice signature, man. And if I can get multiple signatures, yeah, I'm all over that.
Well, my one problem with that is I've been at shows where people will be like, "Oh, would you like the artist edition of this?" And it's like, it's only $5 more, and it's just like, oh, they're just gonna like sign it and maybe do a little doodle. I'm like, that's not an artist edition. You're just doodling in it and signing it. So, but I do agree with you. When it comes to like Kickstarters, that is definitely an added value I look for.
But I didn't mind doing that at all when it was Stan Sakai.
Well, that's the other thing too. Who is it?
Who's doing the signing?
Exactly.
Some guy who's got only did a web comic because he did it through Lulu, or is it a known person?
Exactly.
Yeah, most people at the shows, they'll just give you an autograph. But if you want to get a little sketch, you got to do something extra. Like what I do is I put, you have to buy both of my books if you want to get a sketch.
Oh.
It used to be that if you just bought one, I would do it. And that would be the selling point. But anymore, I figured, I'm selling just as many books if I do a 2-for-1 thing. But the thing is, I'm starting to run out of my first edition, and I'm going to sell off the last of them in my Kickstarter. So I need to get my next book completed so I can start doing more 2-for-1 things. Because the 2-for-1 really works. And if a person says, "Oh, but I've got your other book," and I said, "Okay, if they're a returning person, I'll do a sketch." Like I've got some fans that they have everything I own, and if I don't have something new, they moan that they can't buy something new from me.
Ah, that's definitely good for shows and showing up to the same show year in and year out, building an audience that come to expect something new, and not to think of it in terms of guaranteed sales, but it is nice when you know that somebody's going to find you at your table and they're going to patronize you, even if it's just whatever your newest creation is.
That reminds me, I need to start dragging my Monster and Babes book around with me. I was in it last year for Emerald City, and I managed to get like 4 other people's signatures in it. But when you're at a convention, you don't go off gathering signatures. You're busy at your table,
Sure.
and there are some people that I just want to get more of their autographs. I'm so bad at not checking to see who's going to be at a show ahead of time, so I remember what books to bring with me. Like I'm trying to remember who's the fellow who does Atomic Robo. Just love that guy. Or have you not seen Atomic Robo?
Not familiar with Atomic Robo.
Oh, Atomic Robo's great. It's about this atomically powered robot that kind of came to sentience during I think it was the 40s. And it's got a really quirky writing style, and it's funny. And one of his nemesis is this time-traveling dinosaur. Yeah, I forget what that that professor. It's either a doctor or professor, whatever that particular type of dinosaur is. And it's very kooky.
You seem to like Kooky.
I like kooky. When I first started recollecting comics, I decided to collect first semi-autobiographical, and then I thought, you know what? You know what? There's not a whole lot of, and at the time there wasn't zombie comics. And I thought, yeah, I'll just start buying zombie comics. And then zombie comics, you know, in the early 2000s, just started lighting up.
Yep.
So way more zombie comics than I ever thought. So I'm trying to, break away from the zombie comics and go more for my next favorite love, which is robots.
Robots.
Yeah, I got this great little anthology, which is um, called the Zomnibus, and it's robots versus zombies. That's very artistically, very painterly drawn style.
Hmm.
I
Is that the
prefer.
Ashley Wood?
Let me see. I think I have it right over here.
Yeah, I have a lot of the Ashley Wood robots v zombies versus.
Let me stop sharing screen. So here's the book.
Yes, that's Ashley Wood.
And
Yeah, it's very cool.
yeah, it's got this great style, wonderful stuff. It's not the type of stuff some of it is actual. Well, hold on. Yeah, so some of it gets really
Yep.
funky looking.
And neat use of screen tone, as I recall. I have some oversized books of his.
And then you got the more traditional, clearly drawn blood and guts.
Hmm.
But the screen tones with the painterly thing, that at first I wasn't terribly taken with it because I like a nice, tightly drawn robot look. Have you seen a graphic novel called Dave?
No.
Oh, Dave is hilarious. Dave is the future of the world. In the future, robots have taken over, but then they started acting like humans because they got bored, and then they went out into the universe to kill everything. And they managed to kill everything, and now they're just being humans, acting like humans again. And this one guy robot named Dave is remembering his glory days while he's this poor schlub in this office.
Hmm.
And then a space invasion happens, and the writing is absolutely wonderful. The artwork is wonderful and crisp, and it's just hilarious. So while I'm typically not a Marvel or a DC Universe guy, I have seen this anthology series they're doing with the Vision, where he has a family.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking I might pick that up because I really like robot and artificial intelligence and the roads that goes down. Love the movie AI.
You are in a small minority, sir.
Oh, harshness.
Well, I didn't. I thought it was. I think a lot of people misunderstood that movie. I mean, I think that movie is. It's it's a fairy tale. It's a allegory. You know what I mean? And some people were like, they didn't quite get the. It seemed very much to me like an allegory, and that is a weird type of movie to make. But I kind of saw it as that and decided, it was enjoyable, it was interesting. But oh my God, so many people just hated that movie.
A lot of people don't look for movies that are allegories, and there's a lot of really um, old ones. What was this one? I'm trying to remember. I think it was called The Swimmer, and I think George Clooney is doing a remake of it, and it's based on this short story about this man who decides to swim his way across town by jumping in from one swimming pool to another swimming pool.
Hmm.
And it's definitely an allegory. And I think, who was in the first one? It wasn't Robert Mitchum. It wasn't Kirk Douglas. It was a guy. It was one of those guys, one of those great Hollywood actors from that golden age.
I guess I would kind of put in that category too, Gattaca, which I love.
Gattaca is a fantastic film.
Yeah, but I could see some people watching it and going like, well, this is a bad sci-fi future movie. Like, there's not much CGI. There's no, big special effects. Like, yeah, but it's more about this, you know, the lengths to which he's willing to go, and there is a kind of allegorical story to it, in that it's and kind of the allegory within the allegory when he swims and he has the swimming race with his brother, and then he admits, he's like, no, you don't get it, like I swam, I had no intention of swimming back. He's like, I was going to swim just to beat you even if it killed me. So there was these interesting kind of like stories of, within the story. And I don't know, I think that's a very good movie.
A great
AI is not a favorite movie of mine, but I do appreciate it for its story qualities.
One of the best westerns of all time is a completely allegory story, and that's High Noon.
Yeah, yeah, that's a classic.
Well, I'm actually enjoying my time with you, Patrick. I think I'll stick around a little longer. Unless you're tired and you want to go to bed.
Well, I'll keep sketching epically.
I have yet to do my Inktober drawing for today.
Yeah, I didn't even attempt to do that this year.
I've been, the last couple of days, I've been drawing something very quick. So today is Nosferatu. And I think I'll just do another drawing of a black cat, but this time have him with long teeth and really big ears. I know that Bill has been doing Inktober as well. Actually, I've been doing Drawloween. I've been following the suggestions for Drawloween.
Yes.
But since I've been doing it all in ink, I feel perfectly, okay claiming both Inktober and Drawloween.
Oh yeah, no, I think that uh, even just having like the prompts of Drawloween can be a source of motivation, but also oh, that's right. I can just let my imagination go through. I don't have to think about what I'm going to draw. I just need to interpret, the topic, which I think is very, very cool and can be very helpful.
One of my friends was trying a more ambitious project, which is apparently there was a drawing a day thing, but she only managed to do a drawing a day. She's only been managing getting one done about 3 a month or so. Go into these spurts where she, gets a whole bunch done one week and then you don't hear anything from her because, she, like so many of us, paying work comes first.
Sure.
But I think and I have to start doing what everyone else is doing, and that's drawing really small because you see people, you look at these great drawings and then you realize, oh my God, what's that 2x4 to the left of that? Oh, that's their pencil? I nearly finished that. That's got all that detail in. So I just watched Final Destination 3. I don't know if you're familiar with the series.
I am. I think I've seen the first one, but I haven't bought into the whole series as of yet.
Well, the third one holds up. The first one was quite good. The second one started to get a little tropish, but did okay. The third one didn't even try to keep up too much with the first or second one. Kind of went back to the base formula, which is, watching teenagers get snuffed. Who doesn't want to watch that?
That's right.
I think it was my dad who said that one time. Says, "God damn teenager snuff films! I don't want to watch that. Give me a monster.
I
So,
think it was last year I was watching all of the Hellraiser movies.
oh, I think there's two Hellraisers I haven't seen.
Yeah, there's still a couple that I haven't seen, so I didn't get a chance to watch all of them. But I was pleasantly surprised, I think, by the fourth one.
Oh, good, because I'm, I guess I know I've seen three of them. So the last one I had was when one of the, oh, shouldn't say anything. Someone might uh, hate my, I hate doing any type of spoiler. But to finish off the series of Penny Dreadful, which I absolutely loved that series.
Did they stop making that? Is that right?
Yeah, they did. They wrapped it up on season 3.
Did they wrap it up to your satisfaction?
I would have loved for them to continue on, but I can see why they wrapped it up. I mean, there was a major character arc that came to a close, and the writer who was doing the majority of the writing was moving on. So if they continued it, it would have a completely different flavor to it.
Right.
And I don't think it would have worked as well. And since the whole arc in the whole storyline involved was around this one person, I wouldn't say around, but they were part of the central cast. I could see how it would be it's like a good book. You always want to see another one, but sometimes, there's just not going to be another book in that series.
Right now I'm listening to the audiobook version of Stephen King's Salem's Lot.
Oh, wow. I must have reread Salem's Lot 8 times. When I was in high school, I was a big Stephen King fan, and I was always reading and rereading books. Wasn't very thrilled with Cujo when it came to a movie. A lot of Stephen King films didn't do so well at the theaters.
Yeah.
Maximum Overdrive, about the only thing nice about it was the Green Goblin in front of the truck.
Huh.
I don't even know if they asked for the licensing right to put the Green Goblin in front of the truck, but it's definitely the Green Goblin. Now, certainly the Green Goblin was not in the book, so. I saw the movie The Mist, which was different from his story. Went to a much darker place, which I didn't think was possible, but they did.
Have you read any of the books by Stephen King's son, Joe Hill?
No, I haven't.
They're quite interesting.
But I did read some Bachman books back when they were Bachman. I remember looking at at one of those turnstile books and trying to decide between a Stephen King book, and I was intrigued by this one book written by this guy named Bachman about this kid who goes into a classroom and holds it hostage with a gun after shooting his teacher. I mean, this was back uh, in the late 70s.
Yeah, I feel like he has not let them reprint that book, I want to say.
No, he did not let them reprint that one. And of course, I didn't know that it was, paperbacks come and go. I didn't hang on to it. I read it and gave it to my brother Randy, and I don't know what happened to it after that. And then years later, I realized they said, "Oh, there's a Stephen King is Bachman." I went, what? I
Ha!
got the Bachman books, like the Bachman book, The Long Walk. Man, that was a great book. Have you ever read The Long Walk?
No.
Basic premise is um, teenagers from all over the country are basically put on this death march. They have to walk so many miles a day. If they fall behind, they get shot.
Uh-huh.
And there's only one survivor at the end of it. And of course, it's filmed for television and stuff like that.
Ah, so Hunger Game-ish.
Yes. And I'm kind of going, I see the Hunger Games, I'm going, wait a sec, Stephen King did this first as Bachman. What the? Except there was no love triangle. That's what you need. You need a nice love triangle. I'm trying to remember what a, a series of movies, Continuum, or about this girl who breaks out from the norm and has to be a rebel, but it's basically the Hunger Games, but without the love triangle. I'm trying to remember what the series of those movies are. There's a series of books.
The Divergent.
That's it, the Divergent series.
Yeah. Well, there's also and again, any kind of like sci-fi modern novel or movie, you're like, oh, I think there's a Philip K. Dick story that's kind of like that. But there is a novel where there were colonies out in space, and each planet was based on like psychological traits. So you had the kind of leader types and warlike types on one planet, and then you had the kind of hippy dippy peace love types on another planet, or they were different colonies on the same planet, something along those lines. And of course, someone from Earth is trying to escape a bad marriage, and a crime arrives on the planet, and chaos ensues. And but Philip K. Dick just always takes a very dark turn, and it's his love triangles are never quite what Hollywood would want.
Have you ever read any Kilgore Trout books?
No, but
You know who Kilgore Trout is?
no, the name is ringing a bell, but I couldn't tell you. I couldn't name a book.
Kilgore Trout is a fictional author that Kurt Vonnegut came up with when he wanted to write really bad sci-fi.
Ah.
And so he would refer to him in all these books as Kilgore Trout wrote this book where, but he actually did write a Kilgore Trout book called Venus on the Half Shell. And it was hilarious. Oh my God. It's about this this human goes to this one planet, and the one of the creatures, the creatures, one of the sexes can fly, and one of the sexes rolls around on the ground like a wheel. And so let's call this Earthman Gary. And Gary is saying, well, why don't one of the sexes, the wheels on the ground are always so sad because, the ones that can fly around all day and then come down and we'll settle with them in the evening, but for the most part, the wheels never get to see the glory that's being talked about by their significant others. And Gary goes, well, you've got this protrusion here and you've got this slot here. Why don't you guys just put that protrusion into that slot and carry the other people off that way? Well, apparently that was a form of sodomy. Gary got to be known on the planet as Gary the Sodomist.
Nice.
Just stuff like that. Very tongue-in-cheek. A lot of fun. A lot of pseudoscience. I was, Kurt Vonnegut's one of my favorite writers. If I had to say, who's my favorite writer, I'd have to say him. And the reason why is when I was living in Japan back in 1979, 1980, I was starved for sarcasm. Very Japanese humor is completely different than American humor, and the tonal qualities are different. The way a joke is structured is completely different, and it quickly became evident that whenever the American foreign exchange students got together, we were brutally sarcastic with each other, to the point. And one of the things we'd also do is we'd also talk with whatever words or sentence patterns felt the most comfortable to us. So we were switching back between sentence structures and words and meaning while being sarcastic. And the Japanese host parents would say to the Japanese students, what are they saying? Because they're obviously having a great time. And the Japanese students would just be shaking their heads saying, I understand the words, but I have no idea what they're saying. It makes no sense to me. It's a weird, foreign language. Anyway, and so I get a Kurt Vonnegut book, Cat's Cradle, and Slaughterhouse-Five, and they show up in one of the care packages from my mom. And I start reading them, and it is, I don't know if anyone else picked up on it, but it just drips with sarcasm. They are brutal, and I was laughing. I had tears coming out of my eyes. It was so great, and ever since then, I just loved reading any of his stuff. I can't believe of all the schmutz I missed at 100 that I'm now seeing at 300. Hey, sir, it's 8:30.
It is. I think I'm going to stop the broadcast.
Well, I look forward to seeing you next week.
Definitely, and we hope you, the viewing public, will join us next week for another exciting episode of Epic Sketch Time.
Oh man, I had no idea I had to put it back on screen share. People have been looking at my bald spot for the last 20 minutes. And you can see it again next week.
Goodbye, everybody.